Okay, don't keep everything in the end. Don't say start from now. You will be in a very comfortable position. Coming back to this fundamental principles of professional ethics, ACCA code of conduct. How an auditor should behave very clearly, how the auditors have to take precautions at workplace, how he has to interact with the clients, how he has to be a professional behavior he has to keep with the clients, and the role of audit appointments, terms of engagement. 6 to 8 marks will be basically focused on this. Okay, it will be there in section A. It will also be there, maybe it will also be there in section B. Okay, when we are doing this, what it says, we are working in the the technical way how we have worked in all the cases as such. We have defined and apply fundamental principles of professional ethics. When we say professional ethics, fundamental principles, there are 5. The first one is integrity. The second one is objectivity. The third one is professional competence and due care. The fourth one is confidentiality, and the fifth one is professional behavior. I will ask you this at any point of time during the entire session till the end of the examination. This is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, this is the fourth one, and this is the fifth one. Is right? This is the 5. These are fundamental principles of professional ethics. Okay. Now, this is different. I know people will get confused. This is different. You have a conceptual framework. What are the threats? Is it? What are the threats to the fundamental principles? The first one is fundamental principles of professional ethics. The second one is what are the threats to professional ethics? Fundamental principles. People will get confused. People will get write this to that and that to this. It happens. First up, again I am repeating, fundamental principles. Count on the fingers. Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality and behavior. What are the threats? Threats are also 5. Understand point? Threats are also 5. Self-interest, self-review, advocacy, familiarity and intimidation. Because both are 5 and 5, we will have little confusion. But by the time you revise, we are going to have more clarity on this. Okay? Now, discuss the safeguards to offset the threats of fundamental. What are the safeguards we will take? How we will protect? One minute, she joined in some other class. Right? What are the safeguards to off? See, you have to take the precautionary measures. Whatever we have done in 1, 2, 3, we are going to take the same thing. Safeguards to fundamental principle and what is the auditor's responsibility. We have covered so many things, is it right? What we have done, we said that it is going to be independence, conflict of interest, and most importantly, confidentiality. Is it? Most important it is confidentiality. These things we have to make sure that how it will happen. Fine. Apart from this, what are the requirements of professional ethics whenever you are acceptance a audit engagement? Is that whenever you are accepting a audit engagement? Fine. Whenever you are accepting a offer, when you are accepting the offer, what are the conditions we have to follow, and what are the preconditions of the audit? Right? What are the preconditions and the process by which auditor obtains an engagement? I told you before also, whenever we are talking about the appointment, we have covered this. At the time of appointment, at the time of removal, at the time of resignation, is it right? At the time, we go little bit detailed. The same framework we will cover, but we will just get some addition things we will add value. Point number 8. And what are the things we have? What is the importance of engagement letters? And what are the contents which you have to take into consideration? Is that what are the things we have to take into consideration? Is it right? Now, this is the things we will cover. I am telling you in advance, is it right? And I will cover this at a later stage. This is an example of a flow chart. Is that this is we will cover this in detail in other lectures also. I will mention you very clearly. I will put this. I will show you at one of the chapters. Okay, where we have done in the initial cases. I am telling you because of some reason. Okay, I am telling you because of some reason. No, it is not there here. Is it right? It is not. Is it? Yeah, it is also not. These are all the examples of flowchart. Okay, maybe it will come at a later stage. No problem. It will come at a later stage. Okay, this is an example of flowchart. Why I'm talking with this is one of the topics we will cover at a later stage with respect to documentation. Okay. Fine, do keep it that aside. What are the professional ethics? Fundamental principles of professional ethics. You have the threads. Here also you have 5. Here also you have 5. Okay. These are the threads. There are the principles. What are the safeguards you have to take into consideration? Means what are the precautions you have to take into consideration? The second part is how the process works when you are accepting an appointment, and what are the things we have to take, what are the terms of engagement, terms and conditions. Everywhere, every offer, every job offer, every employment offer, every assignment offer, you will have all these things in terms of agreeing the terms and conditions. Coming to the very interesting topic, very interesting. The moment you attend the complete with all focus, it's simple to work it out. Ethics, it is nothing but a moral principles, okay, that we should govern as a person or as a group. Professional ethics is related to we are expecting from the professional people. See, accounting, auditing is very sensitive subjects, very sensitive. It involves money, it involves opinion, it involves decisions, it involves assurance. In this case, you should have to be very fair. You have to be very unbiased. You have to talk about facts, figures. That is the reason we say all the time we should be true and we have to be fair. It's a very difficult. See, the things are people will influence us, but we have to be very protective. Is that we have to be very protective. Coming back to things, is it right? Now, what are the fundamental principles? What are the threats? This is a summary. This is a summary. If you want to have wherever I will write like this. Okay, you have to work with integrity, objectivity, professional competence. You have to be professional. You cannot take up a job if you think that I cannot do. If you don't do, you have to say I cannot. Nothing will happen. Nobody will force you. You should keep confidentiality because you know the insights. You know the in and out of the company financial transactions. You cannot say that at any point you have to keep that confidentiality. And most important thing is behavior. Very sensitive topics. There will be threats are there, means you have self-interest. People will get attracted. Okay, people will get attracted. You will take some undue advantage from the clients. There is a possibility. See, I'm telling you in the beginning. This is only a understanding of the subject. We cannot say this is a blanket rule. Okay. Some people have self-interest. Yes, I want this to be done. See everything. The rule says that when somebody will offer you help, in future there may be an option that he expect help from our other side also. We are doing self-review, most common threat. You are preparing the financial statements and we are reviewing the financial statements. That is not acceptable at all. Advocacy, you cannot defend the client. It's an advocate. It is like a lawyer. You cannot fight any case on behalf of the client. Client is separate, you are separate. You cannot defend the client. You have familiarity. I know, you know, for 5 days, 5 years, 10 years. I will say that you do this. Then, yes, you cannot say he's my friend, she's my friend, fine, okay. You cannot. The professional principles should be separate. The personal principles should be separate. And most importantly, there will be some intimidation. They say that you don't do this, it can be done like this. Is it right? Fear. Is it? Fear will be there. We cannot impose any conditions. Fine? These are the threats. Keep it in mind. You remember this. I will ask you any point of time. Even one day before examination, I will ask you this. Now you can understand how important is this. So what are the safeguards? At any point of time, keep it in mind. Segregation of duties. This is very important. In every chapter you will come across this. Segregation. You cannot have two things at one point of time. Once you are doing one job, you are responsible for that job only. You cannot take another assignment or another task and you can do this. Created by the profession, created in the work environment, created by the profession, created in the work environment. Very specific segregation of duties. You cannot review. You have the rotation of your job. It happens. It happens. One of the principles in banking industry is you cannot be in the same bank branch for 3 years. You cannot be in the same position for 3 years. You have for the auditors also, they say that the auditors should be rotated 5 years, every 5 years, every 7 years, maximum. In some cases, there are things, 3 years also people follow, companies follow, but usually it will be for 7 years, for 5 years. Rotation of the auditors, okay? Now, ceasing to act, whatever rule says we have to follow. That's otherwise what will happen? See, if you are getting an ACCA qualification and subsequently something happens, ACCA has right to take our professional qualification back. That much seriousness is there. Understand what? They will see, it's a license, as simple as that. It is when you are professionally qualified, you are getting a license to do an audit. If things will go something wrong, they will take back our license, and it happens in so many instances. And you will, if you will are preparing, is a preparation of financial statements, and you are doing an audit, the rule says that you should have separate teams. Internal audit, you are doing external audit, you are doing internal audit. First, you should keep distance for that. Then if there is a company, it happens in some countries, resources are less, then the corporate clients will take the services. If that is the case, you keep separate teams. And most importantly, independent partner review. Anything is there, give it to the third person, expert, independent. Sometimes what will happen? Sometimes it happens, it is a fact that we will not come to a conclusion. Then take the third opinion, as simple as that. Okay, independent review as such. This is the summary of this chapter. Nothing is there. Alhamdulillah. It's almost done. You have 5 fundamental principles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Integrity of, I repeat again and again. Integrity, objectivity, professional competence, confidentiality and professional behavior. They will ask you in multiple choice questions. Section A. Is that when we say integrity, you have to be very straightforward, honest. Yes is yes, no is no. Nothing more, nothing less. Is it right? Straightforward. That's why I don't want to make anything more. Okay? They will ask, they will focus on these things only. The second part, what it says, members should not allow any bias, objectivity. You should not have any bias. You should not give any one favor. You should not have conflict of interest. Directors, auditors, what will happen? If you are doing an audit for the 2 companies who are competitors in the market, we have to inform them. Is it right? The auditor has to inform them. You should not come in any undue influence of others. Very, very straightforward, very simple. There should not be any bias, there should not be any conflict of interest, there should not be any undue influence. No, but you should not get under pressure and give our opinion. We cannot change our opinion. Audit opinion we cannot change. Okay? And during the profession, you come across these things off and on. Next one, professional competence. You should have maintained professional knowledge. See, this I told you. Once you are doing, it is you will become a self-learner. Nobody will tell you what is there. You have to keep update yourself. You have to keep yourself updated about what's happening. Maintain professional knowledge, skill at the level required to ensure that client or employee receive competent professional services. You have to be keep yourself updated. What happening with when we are saying keep updated, nothing is there. You have to keep updated about the rules and regulations. You have to keep updated about the economical factors, whatever related to the annual reports. You have to be keep updated with respect to the conceptual framework. We cannot say that yes, I don't know. Forget about this word. We cannot say I don't know. You have to keep updated means you have to keep updated. Nobody will teach us. That is what the professional competence says. See, based on current developments in practice, in legislations, in techniques. Three things are very important. What they are saying? They are saying that you have to be keep updated with what's happening in the practice, what are the rules and regulations, and what are the techniques. Members should act diligently in accordance with the professional standards. Act with your sense, act with intelligence. Is that? Act with intelligence, act with sense, that in accordance with the technical and professional standards. Members should respect confidentiality of information. That's very client information is very important. We should never disclose this information. In the examination, they will ask this. There will be situations when to disclose. We have to disclose information subject to conditions. If anything is done against the law, I am repeating this, anything is done against the law, then only we have to disclose without client without informing the client. Is it right? Otherwise we should not disclose that information. They said you should not disclose such information to third parties without proper and specific authority, unless it is a legal or professional right, duty to disclose. Unless it is legal. The moment you say legal, it should not be against the law. Confidential information acquired as a result of professional relationships should not be used for personal advantages or third parties. Means they have made it very clear. We should not disclose unless there is a legal or professional right to disclose. Next, coming to this is very important chapter, very important. Ethics will be there in every other subject you are going to take. Every other, in some cases, Abdul Mughid has done 20 marks question will be there in SBR only on ethics. Only on ethics. That's all. Means you have to be, you are covering here, you are covering almost across next four subjects. Members should comply with laws and regulations and avoid any action that discredits the profession. You should know, as per the thing, you should not say that I am talking about only. You should have understanding about business law. You should understand about labor law. You should understand about the company law. Is that you should understand about the legal, what are the factors. You should understand not one, you should have basic knowledge. You are not going to have a professional law, but you should have a basic knowledge about the laws and regulations. Okay, these are the 5 points. Okay, these are the 5 points. Next, nothing is there. If you understand this, almost you got the things where we are going. Confidentiality should not disclose. I am not taking that much time here. Not disclose unless consent has been obtained from the client. If you want to disclose information, you have to get the permission from the client. If it is required by the law, there is a professional right or to disclose. You have the right, you have the duty. Something happens in money laundering, something happens with fictitious assets, something happens with legal, with some transactions, then you are supposed to disclose without client permission. Without client permission, without obtaining any consent, you have the right. Only, I am repeating again, if it is against the law of the land. Next, if there is any conflict of interest may create threat to confidentiality. Notify all clients. You are working for you are working for a competitors. Okay, then you inform them that I'm taking the assignment for this client. Fine, nobody will stop you, but you have to inform, notify, implement safeguards if possible. How we have to have segregation duties, different teams should be there. We will cover this in detail. If no effective safeguards available, they say decline or resign from the conflicting engagements. If we are not in a position to create safeguards, better to decline the offer, resign from that. We can give this reason, and this reason is acceptable. Is it clear to you? Is it fine?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm very slow here. Okay. I'm very slow here. Coming back. What you say? What when could disclosed by permitted by law, authorized by the client? Production of documents or other evidence for legal proceedings. If something is there in court of law, okay, if court of law, then it is permitted. You can have to disclose it. Disclose to public authorities of any infringement. See the word they are using. Anything which you are breaking the law that come to the light of the auditor, then there is a disclosure. Means, as per when we say permitted by law, anything in the court we have to disclose, we have to disclose. If anything goes against the law, we have to disclose it without any second thought. When could there be a professional duty or right to disclose? When not prohibited by law. To comply with the quality review of ACCA or another professional body, they have the guidelines that has been given by the competent authority. To respond to an inquiry or investigation by the authority or a regulatory body. Regulatory body is everywhere you will have an audit. Every country will have audit association. Every country will have stock exchanges. Every country will have regulators. If that is the case, we have to protect the professional interest of the accountant in a legal proceedings. They are using the word legal, means if anything is in law, there is no other option. We have to do. And most importantly, technical standards and ethical requirements. Is it right? Technically, if there is any requirements are there, then definitely we have to comply. Compliance is there. Compliance we have to follow. In that case, we have to abide by the rules and regulations. Okay? Now, coming back to what are the voluntary disclosures and what are the obligatory disclosures. They will ask you in the question, which one is the voluntary disclosure, which one is the obligatory disclosure. Questions will be there. The moment we start questioning, you will answer the things easy, very easy. Voluntarily is necessary to protect members' interest, allow them to sue for fees, defend and actions of negligence. Protect the members' interest. Members' interest is the audit members' interest. Is that if somebody sue if people will not pay, sometimes happens, client will not pay you fees, then definitely you have to disclose voluntarily. Any negligence happens from the client side, you have to disclose it. Disclosure is authorized by the statute, by the law. Is that anything? Sometimes it happens. There is, if you will come across in the same chapter, we'll come across that they have not paid the fees for the 2 years. What will happen? Is it, if that is the case, what are the actions you have to take? Where it is in the public interest to disclose, say when an offense has been committed which is contrary to the public interest, something they are going against the public, okay, something which happened, that means as per the, if you ask me the examples, if the client is not for environmental issues will be there, okay, environmental issues will be there. If that is the case, definitely we have to mention it out of the box. Disclosure is to non-governmental bodies which have statutory powers to compel the disclosure. Non-governmental bodies, is that you will have charitable institutions will be there, non-profit institutions. Is that definitely there will be some financial transactions which are involved, and if it comes to the auditor's knowledge, definitely if it is going against the law, we have voluntary disclosure. Means you have the option to disclose. These are voluntary, okay, voluntary, whereas these are obligatory. There is a big difference between these two. See the things. Obligatory. First you read this one. Here what it says. If an ACCA member knows or suspects the client to have committed any of these, they must disclose all the information at the disposal to competent authority. What are the things? Money laundering, treasure, drug trafficking, any terrorist offenses. You have the obligation, is that you have the obligation to disclose it without any permission, without anyone consent is not required. This
So
will,
for the voluntary disclosure,
pardon?
for the voluntary disclosure, we have to take the permission of the client.
No. We are voluntary disclosure, it is optional. It is mandatory. Compulsory. Voluntary disclosure if it is authorized by statute, fine. If it is given by the statute, you have to disclose it. Is it? If it is in the public interest, something is happening, you can disclose it voluntarily. You can come. But when obligation is there, if you are coming, this is required. You have the choice, but here there is no choice. If you are not disclosing, then you are accountable. In this case, again I am putting around is this. You have to, the moment you come across this, by your right, you have to disclose. If an ACCA member, here they have not written anything. If an ACCA member knows or suspects the client, any of this, they must keep it in mind. This word I always give importance. When they say they must, means they don't have any choice. Yes, tell me now, please.
No, I'm fine.
Is it? They must mean they don't have any choice. Got my point? The voluntary disclosure and obligatory disclosure. Coming back to this, they are given the same thing is there. It is repeated the same thing. Okay. Coming back, what are the threats? We have covered the fundamental principles. What are the threats? Threats are 5: self-interest, self-review, advocacy, familiarity, intimidation. In the examination, if you come across in section A, they will give these for 10 marks. At least 6 marks will be there, 4 marks, 2 questions they will pick from some other topics. But 6 marks, 6 to 8 marks, it will be there. Self-interest, self-review. This is the critical area. This is the sensitive area. This is the area where auditors, there is a possibility that auditors will get trapped. Possibility. Is it right? They get attracted. You have to be very careful on this. And in particular, see, the fundamental principle, and in particular the principles of independence and objectivity. Fine? Now, one by one we will cover this. Is that one by one? I am just little bit. Self-interest, what are the different situations will be there? You own the shares of the company. You are doing the audit for that company. There will be your self-interest is there. Manipulation of profits. Fee dependence. You are as an auditor getting a huge good amount of fees. I am not saying huge, good amount of fees. You don't want to lose that client. Is it? You don't want to lose that client. It is your self-interest. Gifts and hospitality. We have to keep distance from this. Loans. We should not take if you are doing something audit for the banks, finance companies, is that insurance companies. You should not take any favor. Business and personal relationships should be different. Is that? Employment with client. Definitely they say that, yes, we'll say that it happens. It is practically will come across. Say that, yes, okay, fine. If I'm doing audit consultancy, it's little bit less. I'm generating income. They'll say that you give this type of opinion, to give this type of reports. Definitely we will recruit. Definitely it should not be like that. Overdue of fees. If the client is not paying, what will happen? We will come under pressure that, yes, if you do wrong report, if you give negative report, the client will delay payments further. Self-interest. But with that pressure, what we will do? We'll say that, okay, we'll give some balanced report, and at least to get our money back, we want to give some balanced report. Like that, we should not take that into consideration. Any contingency additional fees for additional services, self-interest, okay, and litigations with the client. Any issues are there, legal issues. Is that legal issues are there? It happens. It is. See, every other in real world, it happens in every other case. That is with respect to self-interest. Self-review. You are preparing the accounts, you are doing the audit. You are doing the internal audit, you are doing external audit. You are talking about tax audit, tax computation, you are doing external audit. Valuation services, asset valuation, property valuation, non-current asset valuation. Client staff joins the audit firm. If client staff is joining the audit firm, what will happen? Definitely, it is a self-review. Fine? Familiarity, long-term association, personal relationship, movement of staff between the firm and the client. People will move from client. If you are working good job, is that client will attract and ask them to come and join the audit firm. If you are doing good job in the audit firm, the client will say that come back, join to the client. Is there possibilities are there? Gifts and hospitality. What are the threats? Intimidation. Again, fee dependency. Fees is very sensitive issue. You have to, if there is any overdue, you have to get it back as early as possible. Personal relationships. I will say that okay, do this job, but you have to follow the rules and regulations. Any case, audit partners leaves to join the client. That is again intimidation. Is it? And litigation with the client. Advocacy, you cannot defend the client at any point of time. You cannot represent a client. You cannot promote the client. Negotiating on behalf of the client, we cannot do. Advocacy, advocate, a legal person. Is that a legal person? You revise these things. Revise these things time to time and see the difference in your examination results. Now the same thing is happening. A self-interest is a threat that the financial or other interests will unappropriately influence. But means definitely I have this when we are talking about the self-interest own shares. All these are examples. Okay, means self-interest could arise either from the financial factor or any other interest of the members, close or immediate or close family. Say that yes, it is there. I am not saying from my side. I am saying from the things. Nephew will be there. You will ask your brother will be there, that you will ask the client to recruit him. You will have the own shares. Client will say that yes, we are giving the shares. You have owned the shares. Definitely, if it all depends on the audit report, the fluctuations will happen. So that has to be little bit careful. They are talking about, again, in detail I am talking about. They are talking financial interest, business relationship, partnership, employment with assurance, client, partner on client board, family relation, gifts, all these things, overdue fees. These are the things which will definitely give rise to self-interest threats. Okay, which gives into self. Now, fee dependency, very important point. You have to keep this, memorize this. I am saying memorize this. When we say the things, total fees represents greater than 15% for 2 consecutive years. If the total fee represents greater than 15% in 2 consecutive years, you have to disclose to the people who are charged with governance and post-issuance review or pre-issuance review. This is a compulsory question in examination for 2 marks. I am writing this, I am putting star mark, means I am taking all the responsibility for this. The total, if total fees increases, definitely we should take the other options to exit from it. If total fees is exceeding 15%, immediately you have to inform the people who are charged with governance. You should have a post-issuance or pre-issuance review. We covered, again we go in detail. Keep this in mind. Okay, I will ask, we will read. Self-review, you are providing the accounting and auditing services to the same client. Any doubt is there? Any further explanation is needed? Just let me know.
I have one question, please.
Tell me.
So if the total fees exceeds 15%, they will exit and they will not audit?
No. That is not the case. Okay. First, you should keep a check on yourself that yes, see what happens, you are taking external audit. Client will ask to provide other services. When your client is providing other services, you should see that what is the percentage of fees. Definitely, the moment you are adding the services, the fee percentage will increase. When the fee percentage increases, definitely what you have to do, you should make it a point that you are not going to take additional assignments. First, you have to inform the people who are charged with governance, and what is the safeguard you have to do? You should not take additional assignments. There is no point of declining. See, declining, resigning is the last option. I can say it is not an option at all. Don't say that we should decline. We should, no, we should not, we should resign. No, we should not resign at all. Yes, this is happening. We will not take up additional assignments. Nothing is going to happen. But we cannot say that, yes, I will resign the, no way. That's why I don't know. It is not, it is, we cannot do that. It is not an option at all. Fine. And this will be tested in examination. Are you clear about this?
Yeah.
Next. Self-review is there. Okay. Now, you are talking about self-review. What you are doing? You are talking about general other services, preparing accounting and financial statements, valuation, tax services, internal audit, corporate finance. We are one side we are providing these services, and other side in the audit we are reviewing these services. Definitely what will happen, we cannot be fair, we cannot be true. Okay, we cannot be, we should not take only, see, our objective is, I am telling you from the examination point, our objective is you have to remember these things only. These things only. Is that these are the points? They will not give that much in detail. I am also telling they will assess one somewhere one down the line. Is it right? In the see the examination perspective. If an exam question scenario on ethics mention an audit firm providing other services to audit the client, you should straight away be thinking about the self-interest and self-review. If they are mentioning about other services, you have to think about self-interest and self-review. An important question to ask when deciding of non-audit services audit client is acceptable or not. Thus, providing the service result in firm carrying out activities that would generally be considered a management responsibility. What is the, again I will repeat, an important question to ask when deciding whether the provision of non-audit services to an audit client is acceptable or not. What is there? They put inverted commas. Thus, providing the service result in audit firm carrying out audit that would generally, if it is management responsibility, valuation of service, valuation, it is management responsibility. Consultancy, it is a management responsibility. You go back to this, is it right? You are talking about the internal audit. It is management responsibility. Management will appoint internal auditors. Corporate finance. Is it right? We are talking, it is a managed valuation services. It's a management responsibility. Means you have to differentiate. You have to know whether we are taking the non-audit services, it is acceptable or not. ACCA Code of Conduct make it very clear that firm is not permitted, listen carefully, to assume management responsibility for a audit client. There is no ambiguity, there is no confusion. We should not take any non-audit services should not be taken. That is the simple message they are saying. Is it? That is the reason you see the things. If you take the things, there are big four are there. You will have different layers. After that, some regional audit firms are there. Sage 2. Okay. Some local audit firms are there. Is it? You will have national audit, local audit, small firms are there. Small firms will take internal audit. Little bit are there. They will focus on tax audit. Big firms will focus on the external audit on financial statements. Is that these are the different layers are there? Is it? That is the reason. When it has been stated clearly, we have to follow it specifically. Okay, I will just fine now. I'll complete this and I'll stop. Okay, it says that advocacy, very simple. You cannot defend. You cannot act as an advocate. You cannot defend your client. Very simple. When audit firm promotes you cannot promote it. Some shares issues are there. You cannot sponsor. As simple as that. Is it right? Which results means objectivity, fairness will be compromised. You cannot promote the shares of a listed companies. Is it? Advocacy arises in certain specific situations. Students have the tendency to mention advocacy when it is not relevant to the scenario. We'll have they are saying what are the mistakes students will do. In the exam, you are more likely to come across threats. More likely to come across threats relating self-review, self-interest, familiarity, and intimidation. You should have a very clear marking, differentiation that what is familiarity, what is intimidation, if you swap it from one to another, answer will be wrong. Okay, familiarity threat, having we know the client for a long time, you have good family relationships, is that keep everything as, and you should not accept any gifts and you should not accept any hospitality. Any gifts are taking, there are rules. First you should decline. Then in extreme cases, I am telling about extreme cases, if it is applied to all, fine. If it is applied to specifically to the audit clients or any particular staff, we should not get entertained for that. Is that they will ask. They will ask in the so many questions are there. They will have given this question, these points. They have assessed it. Intimidation. We have members of audit may be deterred to act objectively by. They will give threats. Is that the threat is linked to what? Self-interest. They will give threats. You do this, we will continue next year contract. You do this, we will pay you. They will be saying. Close example, some legal cases will be there. Close business or family relationship. You will have sometimes you will have a dominant finance director. Is it dominant finance director say to the auditor that you have to do this. Instructions are there, directions are there. It will not work whenever. That is the reason. In all through the cases, what we are doing, we always say that there should be a independence. Is that? See the thing. What I told you, resigning or declining is the last resort. We need to reduce the threat. We have to reduce the threat to an acceptable level by applying safeguards. If there is no safeguards that can reduce the threat to the acceptable level, in that case only you have to resign or you have to decline. Is it okay?